Hello, everyone. This is JPL, and today I'm joined with
Christopher!
yes, and we are podcast name in brackets.
In brackets.
Hi, Christopher.
Hi, John.
It's been like what, a whole month, even longer.
And a half.
Yeah, since we chatted. Yeah,
Mhm.
you've been
So,
busy at work because you had transition
Switch
shows. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
So
then
it's
I
just
moved, and then I didn't have internet,
yeah,
and now I do.
yeah, which is fine because like right now I'm entering the busy period. Well, this past 2 weeks have been the busy period where final projects are due. I'm doing my senior project show that we start. Thanksgiving is very inconvenient, even though I love the break. We open the week we get back, which is like no time at all.
That really isn't a lot of time.
It's no time at all. I'm mixing this
Mhm.
musical, which is like I know I can do, but I'm a little nervous because there's not a lot of time to practice.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of stuff.
And you're also doing sound design for it?
Sound design? No, we're not
No?
using sound effects,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
which is great. I don't have to worry about that. I'm just mixing.
I would love to do sound effects.
Right, right. But no, it's also a little extra busy for me because this is my best semester, Christopher. Like I'm actually on top of things. I'm doing my homework. Like in Gershner's classes, I'm like a week and a half ahead.
Really?
I am.
Gershner must be so proud of you.
He hasn't noticed.
Oh. Because he
Because
himself
he's
is like
behind, so he doesn't really notice. No,
Oh, speaking of, you told me that you you continue to make him laugh.
I know. Like the projects that I do, it's like, I don't like him, and then we show them in class, and he just dies of laughter, which is great. Like he does really need the laughter, especially recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm a comedic guy, I guess. Yes, I sent you the projects that I did recently.
And I actually will apologize. I haven't looked at the stuff you sent me
No,
on
I
Discord.
figured you haven't really been on Discord
Yeah.
or the internet. So no, I get it.
Yeah. But I'll get to them because I like some good projects. So.
Yeah, because I did the trailer, sound design.
I still haven't watched the Happy Birthday because I was like, you sent me that, but also we were going back with song lyrics on text messages, and I wanted to get back to that. So it's like, where do I say thank you? I was like, really
the song lyrics of text messages. Oh my goodness.
Did that catch you by surprise at first, or?
I mean, you put that on, it's like, oh, he remembered. He remembered that we talked about this, and then we kept going, and then I switched it up on you.
You did, and I was so planning to reply, and I never did. I feel, I both feel bad, and I both don't.
Yeah, it's like we were doing these things. I was like, I wonder if I could like switch the song and see if you'd notice. And you did. You were like, what song is this? Didn't quite work, but it confused you for a second, I'm sure.
It did. Which is funny because I should know my K-pop stuff, but I'm like, has John been doing research that I've not known about, or what's going on?
Or am I just choosing random lyrics that could sound similar to K-pop, but not really? No, I gave you the "Since We're Not Related, It'll Be Okay" song for my guilty pleasure mix. That's what it was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, is it that the first song?
Yes.
It's skinny dipping? Yeah, okay.
So, no, that was fun. Yeah, no, good semester. A lot of stuff. I feel like I'm gonna be drowning when I get back. So this whole week, I'm gonna be finishing up my projects for Gershner.
Mm-hmm.
Then all that would be left is just the written final and the skill exams.
Look at you being on top of stuff.
I know. Like, no, I know. Like, I'm staying home for Thanksgiving week. My parents, they went off to visit family. I thought about going, but I just wanted to get this stuff done with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also, right now is the World Cup.
Oh, and that's something you're involved.
That's something I love. You know, it started yesterday with Ecuador on the first game. They beat Qatar. It's actually world history. This is the first home country to lose their very first game as a host.
Wow.
Before they've either won or tied. It's mostly tied, but no,
That is tragic. Wow.
it is tragic. No, yeah, Ecuador. They technically scored within the first 2 minutes of the game, but they had it declared offside, not a goal.
Hmm.
So me and my dad were just talking. It's like, you know what? That's probably rigged. They just didn't want to make them feel bad, which is true. Sometimes they'll do that, I'm sure. But no, yeah. Right now, as we speak, U.S. is playing Wales. I've been watching the replays on Tubi. I can watch the games live on Peacock in Spanish, but I don't want to do that. So I'm just watching the replay.
Come on, John. Come on, John.
I watched the Ecuador game in Spanish.
Skills.
I watched the Ecuador game in Spanish, but I decided to
why only Spanish on Peacock?
Peacock because they have it's because the Spanish distributor is teamed with Peacock. It says a Spanish company, TV studio that they're streaming with. So because Fox owns the rights to stream, so I'm not spending that much money.
Right.
A lot of money for TV. I could just watch the free games on the replay. So I'm just staying off the internet while I watch the games. How are you doing, Christopher?
How am I doing? I'm exhausted. Because we opened the show, and I just moved, and I'm still trying to settle in, and I'm looking at opportunities. So I'm just like, I acknowledge that the crazy is probably not going to end. So I just want peace amidst this crazy. You know what I mean?
I get
so. Yeah, I'm I'm kind of strung out a bit. It kind of is what it is, but holy crap, I want things to settle down a bit. But I don't think things will settle down until as soon as they settle down would be mid-December. But it's very possible that things won't settle down for a good while. So at least the show is running, so I don't have to necessarily worry about that. But settling in or looking for other opportunities, that's just going to keep me on the toes. I don't want that. So yeah, I'm doing okay. Not terrible, but yeah.
When last we talked, there was we were talking about She-Hulk, and that we were supposed to do an episode on the finale, but that never ended up happening.
Yeah.
So here we are, She-Hulk.
Talking about the freaking finale.
If you remember it.
Finale it was.
It happened.
It was funny because online, people was like, "Oh my gosh, what if the casual MCU stand? What a crazy, wild, unique finale!"
It's like
they were like, because it's unique, it's good. No, that's not true.
I think it could have been good if it was set up. I really think that the fourth wall breaking should have been done more throughout the show.
I agree with that.
More than just her looking at the camera every once in a while or speaking to the audience. Like, have a moment where I was thinking about this. Like, each episode they set up, oh, this is the lawyer thing we have to do today. Why not have a little segment of She-Hulk explaining what this law is and how to do this with a little animation that's breaking the fourth wall? It gives the show a little bit more style. So that way, when she does break the fourth wall, it's not as, what the heck is this? Just came out of nowhere.
You know what they should do before they do that?
Yeah.
Learn how to write courtroom scenes.
Yeah, no, you're right.
If you can't get your courtroom scenes right, I'm not going to trust you about whatever the law means.
Right. I mean, Daredevil, they're not 100% accurate with their courtroom scenes either, but they know how to write them to the point where you're engaged. So it's just, getting good, interesting writers instead of, let's just troll the trolls.
Yeah, which backfire on them, in my opinion.
I think so.
It's like, that's the thing. If your show isn't good in the first place,
right,
you're only giving the trolls fuel to their fire.
Mm-hmm.
And so their attempts to troll the trolls really backfired. If the show was actually enjoyable, watchable, decently written, then yeah, you probably would have shut up some trolls. But you really kind of just confirmed what the trolls were saying all along.
It's not that great.
It really is one of the worst MCU projects, unfortunately.
Yeah, because they're so focused on like the sexist and feminist hate, but they're not focusing on writing.
Yeah.
Let's see. What did I write down? It
really is a shame.
What did I write for this? It's okay. Here's my review.
Okay.
Is this accurate? I don't know. I wrote it like a month ago.
Probably
this is a show that has access to great comic book characters, but doesn't know what to do with them. Having a series set in a normal day is interesting, but the writers don't know how to make it compelling. This wants to be a fun lawyer show, but they don't know how to write courtroom or even legal dramas. They want this to be a comedy, but it's not that funny and doesn't stand out because the entire MCU is already a comedy. There's potential in this show, but more writers who knew how to adapt comic book characters and actually liked comic books should have been added. I get what they were going for, they just didn't know how to do it. That's a very kind way of putting it,
That is true.
Yeah. Also that week, we had the Rings of Power finale.
Sorry, just a moment. We talked a little about text, because I don't feel like we really talked about the finale, like why the finale sucked. But we did talk a little about text. And you were talking about like how it clearly showed that the writers didn't know how to finish it.
Right.
And then I think there was, it's been a while since I've read quotes, but there were quotes that were somewhat confirming that, and just like, wow, they admitted.
Yeah, the exact thing I sent you was they gave up.
They gave up? Yeah.
They gave up, like, how do we get ourselves out of this? I don't know. Let's just go to Kevin.
What
break
was
the
your
fourth wall and just say, let's just not do this. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Which, again, like in theory, that's a fun thing to do.
I've seen it done great. But again, those were set up beforehand.
That makes sense. What was your reaction, though, when it flashed the Disney Plus screen? Like, did you think it glitched on you, or?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think it was that strong of reaction. It was more like, what? Are they
Mhm.
doing this?
I
And then
think
they did it, and it's like, oh.
the I think the most.
Because the beginning, let me tell you, the opening,
Mhm.
the behind the previously on for the show, I love because it was a reference to the '70s Hulk.
Mm.
I love that so much. It was
Mhm.
really great,
Yeah, I
but it
was
had
actually
nothing
curious
to
your
do
thoughts
with
on
the
that.
episode.
That's
Had
true.
nothing to do with the episode. It was just there, and I feel like if you had moments like that spread out throughout the entire series, the
Mm.
finale would be so much better.
Mm.
Instead of saving it all for the finale.
Mm.
They don't have to be important.
Mhm.
Just enough to get across that this character can break the fourth wall more than just looking at the camera.
Mhm.
Now we have
Yeah.
to question, how does this fourth wall break factor into their power set?
And also, does this affect the MCU just as much as Loki and the Sacred Timeline does?
Yeah. What does this mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Is this a gag, or is this actually what you said, a power set that's actually going to affect things in the MCU? Like, just
I
imagine.
they're
Like,
probably
I'm
just gonna
almost.
play it as a gag.
I hope so. I hope it just stays as a gag, because I'd be scared if, like, in Secret Wars, we have a fourth wall break moment that changes crap for no reason. You know what I mean?
I know. But there is a fun way to fight with a fourth wall break.
Oh, how?
I mean, YouTube videos do this better because they're meta.
Uh
Some
huh.
videos, if they know sometimes they know that they'll have subtitles on the screen, and they'll pick the subtitles off the screen and start fighting with their subtitles.
That's amazing.
Or on YouTube, the YouTube ad comes up, and they like, nah, kick that thing off and start fighting with the ads. It's creative. Just know what the medium looks like, and they're
That's
like,
amazing.
yeah, or just no, that's been done to death. Where it's like, oh, you just put your hand to the camera, grab an audience member.
You know,
That'd be too much.
it'd be funny if someone grabbed the camera and threw it at the villain.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So nice try, She-Hulk. I
Nice try.
really wanted to like the show. I really wanted to.
I did too. At at best, I thought it was okay.
Like, I think we mentioned, like, this show is definitely more like, oh, I'll rewatch episode 8 kind of thing.
I'd rewatch moments. Maybe I'll rewatch the whole thing
If I'm to rewatch the whole thing,
in
it's
2
when I'm
years.
going through the MCU as a whole kind of thing.
Yeah, is that type of thing.
Yeah. All right. Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. My goodness, this show.
You feel like it just should have been a movie?
Honestly, you should have just cut 4 episodes.
4 episodes.
You
So
kept 4 episodes. Really, this story is only worth 4 episodes. Even then, it's stretching. But it'd be a stronger story. There'd actually be a story in 4 episodes.
Ironically, 4 episodes is the length of the extended cut.
I know. And so, what did I write? This series is a beautiful looking mess. If you're familiar with Tolkien's work, this is mildly interesting, as you know the story they are trying to tell, which I did. And so at the end, they finally harkened on the Rings of Power a little bit. No, none of the plot twist. Everybody saw them coming from the episode 1. That's just not great.
Mhm.
Most people are only familiar with the Lord of the Rings films and will most likely find this boring. This is one of the best looking shows, but visuals by themselves can't hold an audience attention for long periods of time.
Mhm.
The story of this season should have been told in 4 episodes. What we have is slow and undefined. Most of the time, you're waiting for something to happen. There isn't a clear plot for half the season. The writing is an attempt at trying to sound like Tolkien, but not successful. A lot of the acting is wooden or uncaptivating. The characters aren't interesting to watch, and there are too many of them. What this season really needed was half the episodes and a clearer plot. And it's confirmed that they're filming season 2 right now.
Okay.
But
But that's also kind of sad because that means they wrote season 2 for
But-
gauging any
yeah.
critical whatever.
but we have learned a little more behind the scenes, and it's not the writer's fault.
Oh,
You know, they did start out with all the best intentions, but then stuff happened behind the scenes, and the inexperienced writers were then pushed to become showrunners, which they weren't expected to. And plus, you have someone who took charge, who was not a writer, or who had activists' ideas for the story.
well, unfortunate that that show wasn't better.
It is unfortunate.
I'm assuming you haven't seen House of the Dragon yet.
No, I've not. I've been hearing good things about it though,
Mm-hmm.
which is good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nobody expected House of the Dragons to be anything. In fact, the first trailer dropped, nobody noticed. It's
Wow.
actually a successful show.
Good. Yeah, so let's talk about some things we've watched. I bet you've watched a lot of things. I've watched a couple things.
Yeah, watched. I continued my Netflix Marvel journey with season 2 of Jessica Jones. What did I say? A relatively solid second season that makes good and bad choices. The villain is not as captivating as the first, but is still interesting due to how personal it is to Jessica. Where the season struggles is that it gives the side characters frustrating arcs that sometimes they don't act logically. Some characters that were set up from the first season are wasted this time. The overall story could have used fewer episodes. This is still a good watch, but it pales in comparison to the first.
Mm-hmm. I would
Which
agree
is-
with that.
It's very true. But no, it was interesting. I think it was a better watch the second time. Because I knew what the plot twist was, and I could see it coming. I can see all the little steps that made it better, honestly. Then we had Luke Cage season 2. The second season has both stronger and weaker elements to it, which makes it equal to the first. The story is stretched out way too long and sometimes slow to a sleeping crawl. Plot lines and characters are forgotten halfway through due to behind-the-scenes conflicts, such as an actor dying. Keeping the same antagonist from the first season was not a great idea, as they're not interesting to watch. Once again, this show is for an audience that I am not. Overall, some cool moments that took way too long to get to.
How long did it take you to watch that season?
Can you repeat that?
How long did it take you to watch that season?
Not terribly long. I watched maybe 2 episodes a day.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got to Iron Fist season 2.
And how long did it take you to watch that one?
Like 3 to 4 days. I breezed through that show. Let me tell you what I wrote down. This season was a big improvement.
Oh, good.
The fights and editing were fixed. The story pacing and shorter episode count made this an easy season to rewatch. This still isn't perfect. Danny, who's the main character, remains to be the worst written character in his own show. The villains were poorly set up from the previous season, but once events were achieved, the villains were effective in their own way. It's a shame, though, that the main character had to be sidelined a quarter of the way through so that other characters could have their moments of glory. The ending teased a much more interesting story that never came to be. Overall, an easy-to-watch season with a dumb protagonist, but interesting collage of side characters.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So if you took the good elements of Jessica Jones season 2 and the good elements of Iron Fist season 2 and you smush them together.
Can you speak loudly?
If you took the good elements of Jessica Jones season 2 and the good elements of Iron Fist season 2, you'd have a pretty solid show. Took the protagonist of Jessica Jones and the side characters of Iron Fist and the shorter episode counts. That makes for a decent show.
yeah, actually, it kind of would. Yeah, then we got Tales of the Jedi, the 6-episode miniseries.
Oh, by the way, I don't have Disney Plus now anymore, so like I haven't been able to keep up what's been added or not. So I didn't know that was added. How was that?
A cool series of short stories that told different tales from the lives of two characters. Their stories are interesting and leave you wanting more. There's a yearning for more Jedi that we don't get to see a lot of. The stories of this one character were intense and hold a clear narrative. The other characters' stories were nice, but were lacking something. It is a shame that books were heavily retconned as they offered more developed context, but these shorts were also fine. Overall, an enjoyable season. I wish that more Jedi get the spotlight if another season is made.
How long were the episodes?
Around 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, that's solid. I was afraid it'd be like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's still a solid amount of time. I think most people agree one of the characters' stories were very interesting because there really isn't a whole lot of their past from the films or even the books that's often seen. And the other character is like one that we've seen a lot in recent years. They're like, do we really need more of these stories? Not really. But they're fun to see. Right. Then I watched Daredevil season 3. Which, my goodness, I'm just loving this stuff. This season brought Daredevil back to his basics by giving us his lowest moment. The progression of the characters is strong and never felt lacking. Our villain returns for another stunning season. The fights were well paced and put together. Everything was on point this season. Overall, a fantastic third season.
So better than season
2. Slightly. Like quality-wise, yes. But I think season 2 had my favorite moments. Yeah, no, it was really interesting just seeing the progression of Daredevil's character through this show, specifically Matt Murdock and his faith. You know, his first season, he struggles with his faith. It's like, can I do this, be this vigilante, and have faith? How far do I go? He finds an answer by the end of the first season. The second season, he's tested, and is like, he meets another character who's like him, who chooses the opposite from the first season. And so there's a dueling ideologies. And by the third season, after Defenders, he's at his lowest moment where he abandons his faith. and has to find his way back.
Mm.
So, really solid stuff. And then lastly, we have Punisher Season 2. This season has mixed baggage. There are two main plots that fight for control of the season. Plot A, with this character, feels like the more interesting story that constantly gets pushed to the sidelines so that plot B, with a character who was from the first season, could get its time. They have nothing to do with each other, and so it gets jarring when one plot takes over and the other gets forgotten for a few episodes. What's left is a weaker plot B taking away development from the stronger plot A, which makes them both feel lackluster by the end. What saves most of the season is the captivating performance as John Bernthal as the Punisher, and the new addition of a character called Amy. Amy is a great foil to Frank, to the Punisher, which makes their scenes so much fun to watch. However, characters like this character, who was competent in the first season, are handled poorly, which makes them hard to watch. Overall, this season is okay and and should have had one less plot. That's where I'm at right now. So the next show to watch is Jessica Jones Season 3, which is the last of the Netflix Marvel shows.
Mm. And so is that all you've watched?
That's all the shows I've watched. I'll talk briefly about films.
Okay.
It's mostly just Barbies.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just Barbies. I saw Moneyball, which is a baseball statistics film. I only watched it because I was in this film class. They kept talking about it, and it's like, just might as well watch it. Then Weird Al had a biopic parody, which was hilarious. I enjoyed that.
Good.
I rewatched Enchanted, which is a 2007 Disney movie, which was fine. Because then Disenchanted, the sequel that came out on Friday, came out, which was not as fun. And then today I watched a Netflix film called All Quiet on the Western Front, which is based off of a book telling a World War I story. I was very pleased with it. It's the World War I film that I wanted to see that properly captures the excitement of going to war, the romanticization of the time, and finding out the realities of this war is that it's nothing that you dreamed of. It's terrible, actually. And the sadder realities of war is that it never ends the way you want it to. Good watch.
Good.
It's a German film.
Did we talk about Werewolf by Night already or not?
We did, yes.
We did, okay.
I think we did.
Okay. Okay, so I think I've only seen a few movies since we last talked. The first one I'll just get out of the way was one I saw last night. So I'm working with Central McCallum. So I'm on staff with a total of 4. And 2 of them love Tropic Thunder. It's something I've been kind of eyeing, but also like more or less needed a push to watch. And on terms of gore, the first scene was hardest to watch. I like look away and there's my Iron Man poster on the wall reflecting the projector. I'm like, frick. I think now a lot of things kind of flew over my head. I didn't fully understand all the crap, but this is a thought I have with it. Especially coming off of She-Hulk, a lot of humor relied on cringe. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of comedy these days relies on cringe.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me. Tropic Thunder, a lot of the humor is stupid. And I think there's a difference. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. No. I get it.
Yeah. So, like, I appreciated watching something that actually, even though I wasn't, like, dying laughing the whole time, it was just stupid. I enjoyed that. And, like, I wish there were more, especially these days, more comedic things that was just stupid and not cringe. So, um, yeah, that's my lower thought of that. Um, I saw Black Panther: Wakanda Forever in theaters.
Mm.
Um, even a few months ago, I'm like, this is probably going to be the best thing the MCU's put out this year.
Okay.
And I stand by that. That was a prediction. So I think my prediction is true. With the online, I was getting a lot of praise, or at least that's what I was seeing. A lot of people, obviously, there's some people who are still over cast T'Challa. But just because I think it's the best MCU project this year doesn't mean it's,
Yeah, because this year has
incredible.
been interesting.
Yeah. I think, like, going into this, like, I knew that there would be care to put into it. They would want to make a proper tribute for Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, like, the director had more control than Taika or Raimi for their movies, um, and so I knew that those things would be the case. Um, for me, what was frustrating was the conflict, because I've seen that played out in my life, because it deals with culture, and I have been, I've lived in two very distinct cultures.
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced how they can clash, and so to see that played out was hard for me, because and I hope it can be a wake up call for people, to be able to understand that people live differently and process things differently, you know. So because you think from the lens of your culture doesn't mean you're right. However,
Mm-hmm.
most people are just going to be saddened by Bozeman's death, and that's all they're going to take away from this movie. Um, Regardless, it's not to say that this is a perfect movie. Um, you can complain about the length. It's um, it's not perfect. It really isn't.
Yeah, it's also
But it.
interesting though, is that critics are afraid to criticize this film
Hmm,
because of like the backlash they'll receive.
mhm,
Because like one is they're dealing with Chadwick Boseman passing, and
mhm.
two, it's a very cultural film
Yeah.
that they don't want to make anyone angry because
Hmm,
of the events of recent years.
hmm. Yeah. I if I was to write a critical review, like because I see this being very much of two, distinct cultures at war against each other, and
Mm-hmm.
like that's the perspective I'm taking from it. And yes, while the events of recent years, yes, can make it scary to write said review, like I would feel confident in whatever review. I actually wrote a little something for myself that I debated, like, posting on Instagram or not. I just didn't, because I didn't feel like it. Um, I would have wanted to flesh it out a little more if I was to, like, share it. Um, but I there's a degree where it's the most rewarding MCU project of the year, because it I felt something watching. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even if a lot of what I was feeling was, you know, dare I say, hurt, or the struggle of what was going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but yeah, again, it's been a couple of weeks, so I'm kind of floundering for words. I'm not gonna lie. I will say this though. I love Shuri so much. So for her to essentially have her like solo movie, it made me so happy. I'll watch this movie again just for her. I love that girl so much.
Okay.
We stand Shuri, John.
I didn't really care for Shuri.
I love Shuri, John.
Okay.
I've honestly enjoyed the character even before this movie, but this movie is just, oh my god, made me so happy. But yeah, curious your thoughts whenever you go see it.
Yeah, in
And
like 2 months or so. I don't know.
yeah, and um, the big topic of discussion, or the big thing for me to talk about,
Oh,
would
is it?
be Sight and Sound Films. I Heard the Bells, coming to a theater near you this December. We did a company premiere last Sunday. Oh, speaking of dates, happy 35th anniversary to Adventures in Odyssey today, November 21st.
Cool.
Is the day when the very first Adventures Odyssey episode aired on the radio. So today is Odyssey's 35th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to throw that into the atmosphere. Um, I heard the bells. Out of, I'll preface this, out of all the people I talked to, I think I'm the most critical person I've talked to or heard an opinion from.
You
Um,
are?
yes.
Okay.
So I'm saying that because my review is more negative. You know that there are a lot of people who really like it, and I think that is also partially due to its audience, right? But I have also talked to some people who do really like critiquing movies and such, you know, and even they had more positive things to say than I did. Um, Here are my big two issues. You ready?
Yeah.
It was made by a theater. That really shows in the style, specifically acting, which makes sense.
Right.
You could argue it kind of works because it's a period film, but it's still there's certain like theatrical flourishes which I don't feel like translate well on. It would have worked better for like an artistic short film than a full length picture, in my opinion. Which brings me ironically to my second point. It actually was originally envisioned as a short film. Unfortunately, besides the theatrical flourishes I mentioned, unfortunately, it shows. I did not know that until they played a 7 minute behind the scenes clip before the movie started. And they mentioned that. Like, frick. And I watched the movie and, like, I didn't see it. I probably wouldn't have seen it if you didn't mention it. But, like, now knowing that, like, oh, frick, it kind of makes sense. There's So, when you envision something as a short film and you go into production and then you're like, oh, wait, let's make this a full length. What happens? Well, you have certain scenes that were, that you have to extend.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain scenes that were already short. They just feel awkwardly short. Um,
Your budget has to be
there's,
spread out more.
yes, there's an ending that feels too rushed. Um, there's, and overall, like, the dialogue wasn't stunning. Um, it shows. It's really unfortunate. Um, Because I guess my thing at the end of the day, if all else fails, the one thing that should work is your story.
Hmm.
Like, it takes money to secure locations. It takes money to film, to buy a camera. And while, yes, at the end of the day, your writers want to be paid, it's not going to cost you extra to write a good story. You just need good writers. And that's not to say that, like, it's understandable because this was originally a short film. Like, it's somewhat understandable, but it's also very frustrating at the same time. That could have been more. um, yeah. On the technical side, now I've not watched a lot of Christian movies of late, but this is the most I've seen care for a Christian film in a while, um, and I think in that regard it will stand out. Especially Pure Flix, I feel like is really just making the bag. They're just trying to make money off Christians. The Kendrick brothers, while they have stories in mind for Christians, they're not necessarily worried about looking cinematic. You know, um, the Irwin brothers have a studio backing them, but they're also just they always have the mentality of make Christian movies great again, and I mean that with the negative Trump uh, connotation, and it's starting to rub me the wrong way. So I think to some degree, like Sight and Sound does have care for the arts. That shows in the theatrical productions, and I think that also shows in the movie. Even if it's not perfect, even if it's not amazing, even if it's not well done, now you could argue it's decent. Like the care is shown, and I think people will see that. Um, I think both Wakanda Forever and I Heard the Bells are very much movies for their audiences. The audiences will enjoy them. I don't know necessarily if a random person was to walk in there if they'll love it. Um, but yeah, so yeah, if you watched I Heard the Bells, I'm very much curious your thoughts on it, John. But I I wasn't in love with it, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's that. Um, in some recent news, there's a couple sad news. Voice actor Kevin Conroy, who's mostly known for voicing Batman in animated shows and in video games, has passed away after a battle with cancer. That was like really shocking to me because I didn't even think about that being this soon.
Mm.
And it happens like, what? No. And so it's really gonna be weird whenever we get some future Batman stuff, and we're not gonna have Kevin voicing Batman again, which is something.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't had any experience with him as Batman
No.
yet, so you can't say anything. But no, he's what I think of as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Adam West are the two icons, most iconic character figures for Batman.
Mm.
Another thing, this happened a couple days ago. One of the Power Rangers recently took his own life at a young age, which is shocking because I'd seen them like being part of programs to just help people not to lose hope. And it's a shame to see that he does. So, in other news, supposedly very soon we're going to get a trailer for the new Indiana Jones film.
I would believe that they probably would want to play that before Avatar 2.
Right, because they're also like showing the magazines are showing images of the film, and there's some behind the scenes photos, leaked photos that are very confusing people, which is leading us to believe that time travel is going to be a plot point in this film. I don't know how I feel about that, because even though Indiana Jones has delved into some supernatural stuff, it's always been delved into historical reality. And just to have time travel, what historical thing has time travel in their myth? I don't know.
I have a question.
Answer.
So Harrison Ford's always had a pretty strong head, or like he always seems to have a say in terms of creative stuff, right?
Right.
So with him just doing this movie, do you have hope that it will be good, or are you losing hope?
Here's the thing. I don't think it will be terrible. I know Harrison, he loves playing Indy, and he's really enjoyed the film that we had here that he's been making right now.
Oh.
So like we'll see. But it's kind of sounding like Logan to me. How it's like a send-off film, like Logan. Same director and everything. So,
did I hear a rumor that they're working on a prequel to Indiana Jones series for
Disney Plus series? I heard that rumor too. I don't want that because we have this show called Young Indiana Jones that's really good, and they should start streaming that on Disney Plus.
Right, they should.
Or Paramount Plus, because that would be the owners.
Speaking of
or do they already stream that? I don't know.
Do you have any context with this? Is it Chapek being fired and Iger being put back in as CEO of Disney?
I have no context for that.
I just find it wild that Chapek's it was renewed a few years or whatever, and then he gets removed. Like, I don't know, like, just looking at like the bare details on paper with the situation, like, it's just wild to me, I do know that Chapek did want Disney Plus to go in a more general entertainment direction. So I'm curious how, if Disney Plus's trajectory will change. So.
Yeah, we'll see. Next month they're going to be launching their ads and their pricier thing, which should be interesting. I'll likely get Hulu at the end of this week because Black Friday deals. It's been a while.
What's on Hulu that you're interested in?
I need to finish watching Smallville. It's been a whole year. And I'll go from there. There's a couple smaller things.
I guess the Ant-Man trailer debuted.
Oh, yeah, that came out. That was something.
You know, I didn't like the trailer.
It was kind of bad. The trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't know. It's a film.
I bet it's gonna move the MCU forward towards Secret Wars or whatever. Like, that's pretty much guaranteed. But I guess also, like, again, like the trailer didn't seem appealing to me at all. But I guess I'll be honest about a few things. I am really upset about Marvel recasting Daughter Lane.
Cassie?
Cassie Lang.
Was she recast
Yes, she was.
for
Yeah, they had-
Endgame?
Yeah, so they
Okay,
had
no, that's fine. I get that. It makes
they had
sense.
a nobody. Why does it make sense?
What, 5 years passing?
No, because
Has she been recast since Endgame?
yes.
Okay.
So obviously, yes, for Endgame they had to get an older girl. That makes sense. They got a nobody actor. But that's one thing that like I thought that was cool about Marvel is that sometimes you took almost nobody actors and turned them into somebodies. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so the fact that they ditched their nobody actor for a somebody actor kind of pisses me off.
I don't know who this somebody actor is, so.
But she's definitely more well known than the person who.
Well, she's not known by me, so I don't really know. I don't know what to say.
So that's a little upsetting to me.
Okay.
And then the fact that Cassie is the reason why this whole movie exists. It's her fault.
And
you know what I mean?
she's gonna be replacing Scott, essentially.
Is she?
I'm pretty sure Scott's gonna die in this one.
Okay.
Because Paul Rudd is, I believe he wants to be done. So that's my guess.
Regardless of what happens in that regard, the fact that she causes this situation to happen. Like, I hate how that was set up in the trailer. Like, it's like, oh, I'm doing this experiment that I obviously didn't ask my grandma about, that I probably should have, and then now we put the whole world in jeopardy because she did a dumb thing. Like, that really upsets me. Like, that's such dumb. And then, do you know what else I realized?
What?
In the title of the video, it does not say teaser trailer.
What does it say?
Trailer. Official trailer.
Okay.
So we did not get a teaser trailer for this.
I mean, that adds.
I don't know. I feel like this is the first time in a while I've not seen a teaser trailer for a Marvel something. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I thought that was crazy. So this is our look at the movie, and I am not.
It's not a pleasant look.
It's not a pleasant look.
I was mildly intrigued to watch this film. Now I'm like, oh. Now it just feels like every other Ant-Man trailer. It's like, oh, okay. I guess I'm not as interested. But I might mildly enjoy it when I finally see it.
I hear that this movie is a serious movie, so I'm not even expecting an Ant-Man movie, if you know what I mean.
Which is
expecting a movie that stars Ant-Man.
Right, which is, because it's supposedly serious for Marvel. I'm also, that's another reason why I'm expecting Scott to die.
Why do you think he's gonna die?
Just take a closer look at him in the trailer. He seems to be like at the end of his rope. Where like whatever evil he's facing is too much for him. And of course, with the context of like Paul Rudd probably wanting him to be done.
I'm not gonna lie, when you mentioned that, like, that did take me aback a bit, but I can kind of see it. Like, not see it like it visibly, but like in terms of story, like with Kang
even
such a
in recent
force.
trajectory as well.
Yeah, Kang would be such a villain to do something like that. I feel like.
Right. Another thing to point out, which is something I don't really care about. I do, but I don't. But other people are pointing out a whole lot. Every Avenger now has a female counterpart. And they're titling it the MCU.
But now that I
But
watch
looking
it.
back at everything we received in Phase 4, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
With the exception of
The fight
Spider-Man.
but also Thor. We killed off female Thor.
Right. But also, like, in general, even in the past couple of years, when they have their male heroes that they're supposed to be teasing, they're always joined with 2 other female characters. Roughly.
What do you mean?
So Moon Knight, we didn't just get Moon Knight, we got the other hero. Loki, we got Sylvie, and then we got the head of the TVA, who went off to do her own thing.
But we also got Mobius, who is rumored to be in Deadpool 3.
Which is fine.
So which would make Deadpool 3 a multiversal movie.
Which is great. I hope that is.
Yeah, and
I'm hearing those rumors, and I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah.
Let's see. Of course, Thor had Lady Thor and Valkyrie, but Valkyrie was already established.
But we killed off Mighty Thor, which was a surprise. I didn't see that coming. But then again, they're all in heaven now, so we can pluck them out of heaven whenever we want to. So
right.
Which actually, I can't talk about that.
Yeah, and of course in Ant-Man, we have Ant-Man, the Wasp, and also the daughter. It's not just Hawkeye; it's also Kate Bishop, but we love Kate Bishop.
We love Kate Bishop.
Right, we love Kate Bishop, but it's also Yelena there too, and Echo. But it's not overwhelming.
No, I think some
it's
people
slightly noticeable when you look back on it.
I think some people are making a bigger deal out of it than they should be.
Right.
Yeah. And
but this was what they wanted to do, really, though. They said it going into Phase 4. This is what we want.
What I find upsetting is like some people like with going into Wakanda Forever, they're like, "Oh, this is going to be such a feminist movie." No, that was She-Hulk. She-Hulk was your feminist anthem.
Yeah, it was.
Black Panther is a serious movie that happens to star female characters. You know what I mean? Like, why are you so upset? Like, this should not make you so upset. Just pisses me off. Just like, are you a fan of the MCU who wants to know what's going to happen or not? You know what I mean? So, because like, there's some of those fans of the MCU is like, "Oh, I don't want to watch this because of feminist propaganda." First off, you should know. Like, if it's propaganda, you should know what you're getting yourselves into. That's not going to sway you, kind of.
Right.
If you're so upfront against it. But second off, that bias is going to prevent you from knowing what's going to happen, especially for something like Wakanda Forever. Again, it's just a movie that happens to star female characters. That's it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And honestly, that's what.
But that's also like they're just from Black Panther. They're already established. Dude, the main issue is just that we don't have our main lead.
I know, but there's still some people I've talked to say, "Oh, I'm not sure if I want to watch it because it's going to be feminist propaganda." Like, shut up. That this is going to piss me off. Like this, especially as it relates to the MCU. Like, do you want to know what's going to happen or not? Are you scared that you're going to become, I don't know. It's kind of annoying to me. DC Studios.
DC. Not much to say.
What? Not much to say.
Yes and no.
I mean
James Gunn. James Gunn. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what to feel about that.
Okay.
because James Gunn has a certain style that I don't know I really want for DC going forward.
Did you watch Suicide Squad?
I saw bits and pieces of that and and Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it. But no, Zaslav announcing his future plan. Most recently is concerning. Is that?
Oh, is it?
It is, because he wants to have everything be in the same universe.
Including
he does not. His
Batman?
specific quote was, "I don't want there to be 4 different Batman." So, like, going forward, roughly the idea is like you're gonna have one Batman. Not just like in the film, but in video games too. It's gonna be in the same universe. It's gonna be the same Batman. In comic books, it's gonna be the same Batman. Which I don't know how to feel about that, if that's the truth of what they're doing, because it kills the creativity that we've had the past few years. But we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. So for Sony, they're going to be making TV shows for their Marvel stuff.
Oh, Silk, yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Silk.
I'm intrigued to watch it. I just hate how gung-ho Sony is with their Marvel crap.
Sony's very gung-ho.
There it is.
They're better at video games. Stick to that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll watch it, but I'm just very exhausted. Like, and especially the fact that we're already getting oversaturation from real Marvel. I just want only real Marvel stuff or the MCU stuff.
Right.
Especially if that's going to be, mid-tier. Like, I don't want 2 streams of mid-tier coming my way.
Yeah. Coming this week will be the finale to Andor.
How has Andor been?
I've been loving Andor. It's so good. It's shockingly good. Even though I knew it was going to be good, but I'll talk more about this next week.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
I'll talk more specifically about this next week, but I've really enjoyed the quality of this.
Amazing.
An actor showed up, and when he showed up, it's like, oh my gosh, this actor is in Star Wars. Yes, I wanted this to happen.
Okay, I was about to ask if you meant like a character that connects to other stuff, but it's just an actor.
It's just an actor. And then,
cool.
and I remember, then it was pointed out, and I remembered, it's like, oh wait, no, this actor was in the sequel trilogy, and he was a very important character in that trilogy, which really shows you how much it really reflects on me.
So was he playing a different character?
Oh yeah, it's a different character. In the sequel trilogy, he was doing motion capture. Here, he was like full on as an actor.
Okay.
But like, I completely forgot that he was in the sequel trilogy.
Okay. That's interesting.
It is really interesting. I don't know how I forgot that. I guess I do. I don't rewatch the sequel trilogy much, or at all.
How many times would you say you have seen the sequel trilogy?
I haven't watched it since The Rise of Skywalker came out.
Which is the last one.
Yeah, since 2019.
I hate the names of Star Wars movies because it's so hard for me to be like, which one is which. And Rise of Skywalker is the worst one because it's
Episode 9 is what I'll say. Okay. I've seen,
but like when I hear Rise of Skywalker, I always think that's of the original trilogy for some dumb reason. And it's kind of funny where I've also like made that mistake enough times where I'm like, wait, I might be wrong. but I'm never sure right or wrong. You know what I mean? So annoying.
Yeah. But no, that was a little fun detail that happened. And I was like, man, am I a real Star Wars fan if I don't even remember this one actor who I love and I forget he was in Star Wars already? It's fine. No, it's logical. It's logical. You'd probably understand if you watched the things too.
Not that it's super important, but Agatha TV show, I believe, is filming at this point.
Cool.
So that is a thing.
Oh yes, and Audrey Plaza has been cast.
Yeah,
in that show
that
as
is
well.
very much interesting.
She's a very interesting actress.
I've seen a few of her interviews. It's so funny how she carries herself.
I know. It's very interesting to watch. I mainly recognize her because she did a Grumpy Cat movie years ago.
What's Grumpy Cat?
Oh. It was a meme in the early 2000s, in the 2010s. It was a meme of this very angry-looking cat.
Okay.
And so, Lifetime did a film, and Audrey Plaza was voiced the Grumpy Cat. That was my introduction to her, and that's how I recognized her and everything else. Like Audrey Plaza, she was Grumpy Cat.
That's amazing.
No, she's a very sarcastic individual, which should be fun to see.
Yeah.
I hope it's good.
What's your thoughts on the Star Wars Acolyte show?
I will see it when I see it. I hope it's good.
I saw that they got the Logan's X-23 girl.
Oh yes, good for her. I want to see her in more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I do.
Kind of makes me intrigued with that show a little bit. And then also I think they have a Squid Game actor in there, so that's
They
also
do.
interesting.
I mean, this show is also like one of the ones that's like it's the High Republic era, so like a couple hundred years before anything.
Anything.
Well, before anything that you've seen.
Yeah. Okay. So I was wondering if it was mid original sequel or if it was a.
No, it's definitely before prequel.
Okay. That is intriguing.
Yeah. So you were talking about after watching Tales of the Jedi, me having to put this thing chronologically. It's gonna be impossible.
Why? Why impossible?
Because Tales of the Jedi, one episode spans across 3 different time periods. So there's 3 episodes that you can watch beforehand, and then the other 3, which take place during the Clone Wars, it's like I just watched that afterwards. It really, it's you don't need it.
Okay. I am just seeing if there's news we missed because we haven't. Oh, am I hearing that that Marvel is laying off some of their animation team? I think I saw that. So,
I don't know about that.
Okay.
But there has been a lot of layoffs recently everywhere. Most specifically recently Twitter, because
Yeah. How much have you been on Twitter recently?
Casually.
Oh, the Vision Quest show was kind of.
Oh, that was announced. Yeah.
Announced. Yeah. So good to know that Vision hasn't been abandoned.
Yeah. Good to know.
Good to know. I mean, kind of figured it's kind of funny with like Marvel spouting out in so many directions. Like you want to know what's going to happen next and make sure that the characters aren't abandoned, and then you will also turn around and say, "Well, this is too much content. Slow down."
Yeah, no. Most recently, I heard that they're maybe doing a special on Man Thing.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. Isn't
Well, I
sometime this
definitely
week?
want. Sorry, I definitely want them to do more special presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't this week or next week we're getting holiday special?
I, I think I was just watching something. I think that will be day after Thanksgiving. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
that'll be fun to see.
Oh, right. We talked about Thanksgiving.
Guardians.
I don't have any Thanksgiving plans. Neither do you.
I mean, I might do a Friendsgiving.
Oh, okay. How has making friends been? That's cool, Ben.
It's been something.
Something.
Most of my new friends are girls.
Um. So
That's not a bad thing.
no, it's not.
But Greg will tease me about that. It's like,
Really.
John, ask them out. I'm like, no.
Um. Okay. Man, I just forgot. What was I thinking? Because I'm just scrolling to see news and wow, like trying to carry conversations in and
Right.
like that. All right. So, um, saw this thought, and I think it kind of makes sense. Um, that in Secret Wars obviously will be the bigger end game moment, as it should reflect other franchises. I think that just makes sense, right? Other
Right.
franchises, other iterations of Marvel. Um, that makes a lot of sense.
That's what we said.
Specifically as it relates to like X-Men. Um, and I think, especially if we have Deadpool as a multiversal movie, it and then that movie essentially being like 2 years before Secret Wars. Sorry. Yeah, Secret Wars. Um, I think it makes sense with this current trajectory of the storyline that the MCU X-Men are not introduced until after Secret Wars.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
well, that's kind of lame. But I get it.
Yeah. Um, I think again we have already so many projects lined up, and to introduce them right before Secret Wars happen, you know what I mean? Just feels
Mm-hmm.
rushed, and it's almost like something where they would need time to flesh out, develop. Um, and so maybe again with Deadpool 3, maybe we'll have more Fox X-Men
Rumor.
characters appear within this saga. Uh, Maybe more will appear. Maybe it'll just be the two of them until Secret Wars. But like that might be kind of cool, and that might be like a more proper goodbye for them. You know what I mean?
Rumor. Yeah, rumor.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four will be set in the 60s.
Hmm. Another rumor with Fantastic Four I saw is that Doctor Doom would not be the villain of it.
Yeah, I get it. He's a
Yeah.
big villain. They probably want to save him.
Is he related to Galactus or not?
I, I mean, he tries to take control of Galactus,
Interesting.
but he's not specifically related to Galactus. No.
I think it is obvious that we will be going into
Namor
Galactus
is a
storyline.
villain of Fantastic Four, or at least they have conflicts with.
Okay. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out if
Mm-hmm.
they choose to go that route because the MCU is changing some things.
Right, and then also while we were gone, they pushed back all the dates for like a year or two.
Oh, was that while we were off?
Yeah, that yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yep, that happened.
That was expected. We called it like as soon as they announced it. It's like that's being pushed back to a year.
Yeah, there's no way that Kang Dynasty Secret Wars is going to release the same year. There's just no way. And then
24.
obviously Blade ruined it all.
Oh yeah, Blade.
Yeah. So we are hearing that Ironheart, we finally might get.
Her own show.
She is having her own show.
Okay.
But in her own show,
no.
Ironheart,
Yeah, she is.
we might finally get
A variant Tony.
what were people saying about WandaVision?
Patrick Stewart.
All this points back to, or
The X-Men.
Mephisto.
Oh, Mephisto. In Ironheart?
That's what I'm hearing.
That's random. Okay. No,
I
the
mean,
Ironheart suit. I saw an image of that.
oh yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
looking at it online. It's like when I scroll past it, it's like, is that a Power Rangers? Is that?
Honestly, and
And then I
even
looked
watch
at all
Power
the
Rangers.
comments, and it's like Power Rangers. It's like, oh wow, interesting.
This is what was rough about that movie.
Mm.
Is that you have the rugged Wakandans, and in this Power Ranger suit, it is so goofy.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the goofiest color combo ever because they're like, again, Wakanda looks rugged, and then the Ironheart suit looks so bold. The colors are like, when you go on Microsoft Paint and you choose black and then red.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of bold. It's so wacky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, are you excited about the Guardians of the Galaxy the holiday special?
Mildly, yes.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with mildly.
It's just like a fun time with the gang.
Yeah. I am relatively excited about the actual movie because I want emotional crap. You know what I mean?
You want emotional crap.
Yes, I want emotional crap.
Okay.
I'll
write that down for you.
Like I guess like that was one thing. As frustrating as it was, that is one thing I did enjoy about Wakanda Forever. Is that like I was struggling. I was feeling some emotions. You know what I mean?
My gosh, emotions.
Yeah. So. Well.
So Guardians is the last Marvel we'll get this year.
Yes.
Nothing in December.
As far as I understand, nothing.
Interesting.
Now, at this point, I'm curious when is the date of
Secret War or Secret Invasion.
Yes. I so hope that's good. My gosh.
I hope it's good too. I hope it's like Andor levels of good.
Me too.
Yeah. Where it's just writing.
Really?
Writing. It's the writing.
And I will also throw in pacing.
Writing. I mean, pacing.
But yes, right.
It's like planned pacing is what it is. Build up pacing.
That's true. Oh, there's a rumor, and again, it's a rumor about Silver Surfer special presentation.
I heard about that too.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how to feel because it messes with my theory of him, of him being an Eternal. No.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
I do hope that they utilize special presentations more because either them trying to extend things for a TV show or squeeze things into a movie. So special presentations to be able to just
be their own thing.
Yeah. I think it's going to be so freeing.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like honestly, I feel like that's what Disney Plus should be utilized more for. Like these special presentations that give context to characters, and so that we don't, and then you don't have to have all these TV shows.
Or shoehorn them in.
Yeah. Man, like seriously. Also, with She-Hulk, we forgot to mention Scar.
Scar.
I don't love that.
Oh, by the way,
don't know.
this is Scar, my son. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, what the crap was that?
That's the only reason to watch the show. Is for Scar.
There's literally 3 seconds.
And Daredevil. But still.
Yeah, but that was so left field.
Like, we're all hoping for a film of Bruce being on the planet, but nope.
Nope.
Comes back. Here's the sun.
Here he is.
I don't know if the math works.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Because I'm like, okay, he should be 7 or 8, but he's portrayed as a angsty teenager. So
Yeah.
So unless time works different there, that's
like
only
10 is a fair thing to give it, but even still, he looked more than 10.
He looks something. Yeah. We'll see. Well, I feel like it's getting to a point where I don't feel like we're gonna see a Young Avengers project. This
Right.
saga? I feel like that's
Right.
going to be a Phase 7 thing at this point.
Also, thing to point out, Harrison Ford has replaced is being Ross.
We didn't talk about that?
We talked about the rumor, but I think it's official now.
Yeah, it's official. Okay, yeah. How do you feel about that?
I think it works as casting wise. I think that he's gonna give a lot of charm to the character to make it more memorable.
That's fair. I guess the thing that kind of blows me away is the fact that this very much could be Harrison Ford's last picture. You know what I mean? Like, he's getting old. And so...
You're not wrong.
So it's like, you're replacing him only to essentially be replaced, unless he's going to stay Red Hulk permanently.
Right. It would be better if Indiana Jones was his last, but I don't know.
Like, imagine Indiana Jones like being his like send-off movie. But nope, it's going to be...
Yeah, he is getting to that point.
Yeah. What, he's also, 90, right?
Huh?
You said he's 90, right?
No, he's not. He's not 90.
No? Or is that John Williams?
John Williams is 90. He's retiring, for sure. Harrison, I believe, is reaching 80. So he's getting there.
Crap.
Yeah, he's just reached 80.
Speaking of Thunderbolts, Stranger Things 5 and Thunderbolts have to share David Harbour. Both are filming in Atlanta in summer of 23.
Cool.
Well, that is interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because, in Stranger Things, David Harbour just lost a lot of weight, not just as a person, but also as a character. And then in Black Widow, he was severely overweight. And then, different
he
hair.
probably lost weight to be with his girl again.
No, in Stranger...
No, I mean in
Widow.
Thunderbolts. No, I mean like in,
Okay.
Because after he reunited with his wife, quote unquote wife, he probably was like, man, get back together, get back in shape.
Yeah. I'm really curious how that's going to play out. Because I don't know if you heard this, you probably have, but like while they were filming Black Widow, he was taking pictures of the Russian prison and sending those pictures to the Stranger Things people to make sure that the designs don't look the same. And David Harbour actually lied about it to the production team. But he's like, we can't have these parallels. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it was smart at the end of the day. So I am curious, like, are we done with the Russians in Stranger Things? Will the Russians have a play in Thunderbolts? You know what I mean? So how much is that going to cross over again?
Right.
Hopefully, and especially considering his body size right now, I wonder if Marvel's gonna slim him up or whatever. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Another point of
Also,
news.
sorry, just that must be so exhausting to be working on two different productions. That must be exhausting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, in other news, you said.
In other news, recent quote by Quentin Tarantino
Uh-huh.
saying that this is the worst era of filmmaking.
Was that specifically relating to Marvel or
In general,
anything else
like
you have in mind?
in just
general.
like in recent years, it's been the worst era of filmmaking. I kind of agree.
Filmmaking as in
Just like comparing the basic films that came out in 2000s versus like the past 5-10 years. There's a clear difference. We're now more into the blockbuster, less quality era.
Yeah, I guess I can't fully disagree with that, especially with the current generation's obsession with nostalgia.
Even like recent MCU.
Yeah.
There's been just a lot of struggle to put the quality into it.
Yeah.
Even just filmmaking wise.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
And like there's a lot of shift to like instead of putting all this effort into making this a feature film, we're just gonna make it for streaming. So like Disney Plus has all their films like Disenchanted, Chip and Dale. Netflix has all those films. They're not terrible, but they're not at the quality that we would have expected for feature-length films. And so we're seeing less and less of these type of films that were everywhere 10 years ago, 15.
I think a significant reason is streaming.
It is, yeah.
Because they're like, oh, we constantly have to be releasing content for these streaming platforms to be for people to want to subscribe to them.
One, streaming. Two is like the shift of genre to like our superhero blockbuster epics. Third is also our studios themselves are just they're keep getting bought off by some other studio that's making these decisions as well to not make these films.
Yeah. Yeah, especially we're seeing, especially again, I can't remember if I mentioned, but like these nostalgia sequels or whatever, and a few authors.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why they're right now there's such a love like, oh, we can't wait for the next Nolan film because he does make quality work.
Oh
and you can tell just comparing stuff.
I'm so ready
for Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a shame he couldn't blow up an actual nuke. I believe he's bummed out about that. That he couldn't actually blow up a nuke for the film. I get it. Anyway, what else we gotta talk about today? Are we good today?
It was interesting. So, like me not having internet, like all I had were DVDs. And so, like, I rewatched like I don't know, like 20 minutes of Inception, the hotel part.
Okay.
I rewatched Mean Girls, and then I watched Mean Girls with the director's commentary. Mean Girls, honestly, like watching it a second time, for my second time, not the second time this past week. Watching it for my second time, I was like, okay, am I gonna like go into this thing and not like it as much? And rewatching it, it's still a solid movie. Like I really love that movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like
I'm glad you love it.
like because I like again. Have I seen a lot of movies? No, but I do know that many movies in this high school coming of age genre is just cringe and fake or just whatever. You know what I mean? But Mean
Mhm.
Girls is so watchable, so enjoyable. I love that movie. Also, my roommate, before I left, he hosted a Dark Knight watch party, so I watched that again.
Cool.
And so I think we talked about like after I watched it the first time, like I'm gonna have to digest this. I know it's a good movie, but how much do I really like it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so after a bit, I'm like, okay, it's well done, it's pretty solid. I was kind of excited to watch it again, and you know what? I didn't get that Mean Girls kick that I mentioned. While I do think it is solid, it didn't hit very hard the second time around, um, like it did with Inception or even Interstellar, which I don't love. I'm not a huge Interstellar fan, but like it's
That's a shame.
like
But okay.
yeah, I I don't know what I am sitting here really confused because Dark Knight, like at the end of the day, is really well made, really well paced. I don't know what was missing for me. Like there's something about it that kind of I'm really upset about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
So I
Well, I
think
mean,
there's
it
an element
happens.
where I rewatched it a second time too soon, and again that kind of wasn't on my own will. I mean, true, it could have been my own will that I could have stayed in my room and not participated, but that's not a fun thing to do, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, so there was actually part of me while I didn't have internet that I really wanted to rewatch Dark Knight Rises, but I didn't. Um, but yeah. Um, I went ahead because Walmart has Interstellar for $15 on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K.
Okay.
So I went
Do
ahead
you
and picked
have
that up.
Do you have 4K or Blu-ray?
I don't,
Okay.
but I guess my mindset is like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. I might have that one day. You know what I mean?
No, I get you.
And
So,
especially we talked about recently, especially with HBO Max, making some shows disappear, and streaming. We don't know what the future of streaming is. Really, your best bet with having the content is actually owning them, right?
mhm.
And so there's part of me tempted to go out and buy all these DVDs. You know what I mean?
Especially right
But
after Black Friday, go ahead to Walmart because there's a lot of deals.
yeah, actually, I went to Walmart and bought a lot of vinyl. um,
Yeah.
but the thing is, like with um, but okay, so what I said DVDs, but the thing is with DVDs, they're 480p. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And while it's not terrible, they're viewable, but they're still 480p. So I'm like, do I really want to invest money into something that, first off, I'm not going to use a lot, but also second, that is not high quality at the end of the day. So there's a lot of me that would prefer to, maybe start a little stock of Blu-ray or even 4K. And so to see Interstellar with, yes, a digital code, but a DVD, a Blu-ray, and a 4K for $15, I'm like, heck yeah, you know? So, like, I can use the DVD now since I don't have a 4K or even Blu-ray. And then if I ever am able to upgrade to having a Blu-ray or 4K, whether player or monitor or whatever, I have that with me already.
Yeah.
And I hope that more people can do that because again, right now I can't even watch Blu-ray. So if I did, I would probably go ahead and buy some 4K Blu-ray combos, but I can't even watch Blu-ray. So to have that four four version option, I'm like heck yeah. So that's
Yeah.
my that's my thought.
If I ever get 4K, it's probably when the next thing comes out.
You mean beyond 4K?
Beyond 4K.
That's my thing, though. Like,
Just
4K,
just for like a cheaper buying option for the players.
I know, but like 4K is already massive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to go beyond 4K?
Well, we didn't believe we needed to go beyond Blu-ray, but we did. In fact, 6K is a thing, and even 8K, but we don't have those players yet.
I feel like 4K is a good enough max. Like, you'd have to have an IMAX theater at your house
Right.
to want to go beyond 4K.
Right. So
you know
for
what I mean?
me, Blu-ray is like great.
I think Blu-ray is pretty solid. Like, if you have the option to go 4K, then go 4K. But like, I don't think we need to go beyond 4K as a consumerist society.
Not yet.
Like,
You know
we'd
we
have to
will.
make Blu-ray look so bad to want people to go beyond 4K. You know what I mean?
You know they will.
I'm not ready for that. But yeah, maybe I think one day I would want to look into buying a 4K or Blu-ray player. But today's not that day. I want to.
Black Friday.
The thing is with Black. This is what I was kind of gonna say. I'm still kind of like working on my vinyl stuff. Like I still
Right.
want a few more like horror albums. So it's not gonna be until at least next Black Friday when I would, if I was to take advantage of Black Friday sale, to do something like that. But also like there's eBay, and people resell stuff on eBay for decent prices and possibly sometimes even better than Black Friday prices. So like that very much is an open option.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah. I Walmart had a ridiculous $15 for a vinyls sale, so I stocked up a bit yesterday.
Okay.
So um, yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eye out for other Black Friday vinyl deals. So John, is there anything for Black Friday you're intending to buy?
I don't have anything specific. I know that I'm gonna need to get a new computer soon. Because mine is reaching 7 years old,
Mm.
which is the average lifespan
Mm-hmm.
of a computer, of a laptop. And so I need to get something. So it's hard finding a good laptop. Because like a lot of these new laptops just seems like downgrades. Like they're upgrades in terms of like software, but hardware they're not. Like they don't always have all of the different ports for HDMI or headphone jacks.
Yeah.
Most of them don't, or even any of them have like DVD ports anymore.
Yeah.
Which is like really important to me.
Even
I mean,
this
you can
computer.
you can buy like the thing to attach, but
Yeah.
it defeats the purpose.
What is wild to me is like this computer, which is I don't know, I'm gonna guess even 2015 doesn't even have a DVD port, and so I bought an external thing.
Yeah, but that takes up so much space.
It does.
And these things are already, what I have is already huge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just finding
Well,
the right
that's
thing
yeah, yeah.
within my budget.
John, how much of a McDonald's fan are you?
Why do you ask?
Why are you scared of me asking a question like that? Why is I hate that everyone is like, oh my gosh, Christopher's gonna ask something stupid. They just know, and I kind of hate that. John, how much of a McDonald's fan are you?
I'd say I eat it like once every few months.
Okay. Did you see the McDonald's commercial for the World Cup?
I did not.
They did like a minute commercial of people in various languages and countries asking. Hey, you want to go to McDonald's? Because, it's a World Cup, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Korean representation was ITZY, the K-pop group that I've been loving a lot this year.
Okay.
So I am a very happy boy.
I thought your question was related to something else.
Oh.
As in, if you eat this many Big Macs, you get entered to a sweepstakes where you can get a new computer, John. And I'd be like, well, I'll think about it, but I don't know if I want to do that much.
Yeah. So
No, that's fine advertising, especially for a World Cup. It would do well internationally, maybe not in the U.S.
Yeah. So for a new computer, would you want a new computer or a used computer? New.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New.
Honestly, if I get a new computer, it'd probably be refurbished or something. Because I've spent so much money on vinyl, and vinyl is something that's eating up my money. And like, I want a new camera at some point, which I am keeping my eye out for Black Friday deals for a specific camera.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of cameras, so a couple months ago, my parents were off going around. They went to PA, visited some folks, and they came back from a grandma's house. And like sometimes she'll just be like, "Here, take this." Like John will probably want to use that, and she gave them a video camera. And I checked this out. I was like, "Oh, cool!" And I opened it. It's like, wait, this has a cassette in it. So it's an old camera with a cassette. And I was like, oh, I can't use this.
That's ancient.
It's 2000s at least.
Wow.
Yeah. It's definitely something that she found in the basement. And it's like, oh, John likes cameras, I think.
That's hilarious.
He'll probably use this all the time.
Yeah, let's stop the ceiling. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I mean, I would have 15 years ago. But, I don't use cassettes anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Nor do I have a converter into digital.
Do you have any VHSs still?
Not at my house, no. No. Any VHSs we have are at my grandparents'. They still have it. We still have like hundreds of CDs that we have. In fact, they're like in a box under my bed. They've been there since I moved in. I haven't touched them. And they're all like Hillsong and Wow. And all these Christian bands. So there's something.
There's something.
Yeah. VHS has been a while.
It has been.
Has been a while. But yeah, we're reaching a good length, and I want to continue watching my games. So.
Oh, okay, that's fair. And I should look into cleaning my places, but I don't want to.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, let's go Senegal.